thought I brought another drink in here.
I need to get one.
I have no alcohol in my house. I
That's a
would
good
be getting
thing,
some right
right?
now. What was that?
That's a good thing, right?
Yes, but not during fucking podcasts and our school stuff. It's just like, oh my god. I just sit in this room, and this room makes me want to smoke and drink so badly. Not because of this, but like, I don't know what it is. I don't know my altar, and it's just like, makes me a thirsty bitch, but it makes me want to change my mind.
Maybe you should dive deep into that. Figure out why
Yeah.
the cravings hit during your work room.
God, it's weird.
Why do you have a craving for the smokes and the alcohol during working hours?
Craving for alternative mind.
Opening your third eye to help our students. There you go. It's a workplace expense.
I feel so shut in. I need to open my third fucking eye.
Welcome back to the New Uppsala podcast. My name is Rain Raven. We got White Wolf and we got Sigrid Ufar. We are going to be talking about celebrating Yule and making sure you're truthful to yourself and your practice while still being respectful of your community around you if they celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, or anything and everything. So that's how we're going to get into it. We all had a similar experience growing up. We might hit into it, we might not. But we're just going to see how the conversation goes and talk about Yule and Christmas and how we navigate it.
I was looking up when Kwanzaa was because I always say Kwanzaa as a holiday, but I didn't know when it was. It's the same time. It's a 26th December 26th to January 1st. Cool. Unrelated. But you said the two, and I'm like, everyone knows just like Christianity or Hanukkah or the Christian Jewish religions faiths. We don't do a whole lot of others, and Kwanzaa always comes to mind when we talk about it. So, yeah.
I was trying to buy very expensive pieces of art.
The missus would be happy with that purchase?
Mine?
Yeah.
No.
Was that 100% though? That will help out.
If you put the four on it and says it's for her, she might let him get away with it.
There we go.
Probably not.
Happy Yule.
Ha ha ha.
Buy that over.
I definitely didn't just spend $4,000-$5,000 on a painting. No, I would never do such a thing.
It's an
I
investment.
mean, I'll paint you something. Yeah, it's an investment. Yeah, it's yeah.
If the Louvre taught us anything, it will soon be history.
That's how you avoid taxes, but sure.
I'm pretty sure if he buys it, Sigrid Ufar will be history. So
I'll make a painting. I'm not saying it'll be good, but then again, you look around and those paintings aren't good anymore. So
drop like $5,000 on art. Fuck, I'll draw you something. Shit. I got rent to pay. What do you want?
Penguin.
Oh, a penguin. Or a raccoon. I want a raccoon hugging a penguin.
I don't know if I want to draw that. Wait, for $5,000 I will, but like, maybe like raccoon or a penguin, like a raccoon birthday party around a kiddie table with a cake and little party hats and shit.
See, there
Maybe
you go.
That.
I want the penguin dressed up like a clown.
Yeah. Trying to think what the pinata would be. It couldn't be like, it would be like, I don't know what the pinata would be.
A dolphin.
What do they? I was gonna say what they both hate. Yeah, like a dolphin will work. Dolphin will work.
What about
Have,
like a
candy
squirrel?
Or a squirrel.
Squirrels. Oh yeah, we could do squirrels.
Squirrels are dicks.
Have all the squirrels up in the tree over here, like.
Sorry, Ratatasker, but
I'm not.
you are a dick.
Yeah, no, you are kind of a dick.
You're actively
We're all
trying
gonna say
to
it.
kill us.
The one Nordic universal truth isn't that Loki's a dick. It's that Actually, Rattusker is historically the most consistent asshole in the entire realm.
All he does is stir shit up. That's it.
That's funny.
So, no. Anyway, Yule, our chaos is going to be rampant tonight. Fair warning. We already started. What did you say?
Well, like the subject, like how you celebrate Yule, and in conjunction with if you have Christian or Christmas holidays around you in society or your family.
I'm glad you realized you were muted. That's good.
Yeah, I was muted. I said we're all sober, and we're already rambling.
Sober.
Oh, I'll fucking fix that.
This is not sober, y'all. This is not good. We need to fix it. Ship me some.
We do better not rambling when we're inebriated.
It's because I don't know, we're over analytical when we're sober, or when we're not sober. It's like just throwing shit in the open and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
Where's my Grizzly app? I need alcohol delivered to my home right fucking meow.
So yeah, Yule, it's
Yule, yes.
It could be celebrated on multiple different days on how you want to practice. You can start on the winter solstice. That's where I usually do. I've heard of people that end on the winter solstice. There you go, Sigvidir. Now it's 2/3. But there's that. And the duration of Yule can vary. I've heard 12 days of Yule, 3 days of Yule. You could do the 1 day of Yule. I want to say is one of our previous episodes. I, made the comment of whatever is available to you. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality and the intention behind it. Is it a good quality, eventful Yule that, you feel honored to be proud of? So,
and the duration is usually manipulated by how you practice or how you celebrate it. If you do like one thing, like one event, not like a small event, or it could be a small event, one thing, one focal, that could be a 1 day thing. If you want to do something like the Yule log, that you can do a Yule log in 1 day, or you can try to extend it for multiple days, and you can see however long the Yule log, some people will start the Yule log, and for however long it can burn is how long their celebration goes for. So, there's a lot more than that, obviously, with different practices, but that usually is what manipulates how long or when the focal times are for a lot of people. Because some do celebrate, which is a really fun practice, is to celebrate it outside. Not like obviously just the ritual, but like the practices. So decorating trees, doing garlands, ornaments, however you want to do it, doing it to a tree outside and not having an inside tree. Like you can have an inside tree. A lot of us grew up in Christian households or have that. Traditionally, from what has been talked about at least, is the Christmas tree obviously came from our beliefs anyway, our culture, where they would bring in a tree and have it as a representation of the new life coming in spring, or they would keep one tree preserved and basically nourish it to make sure it survives through it as an offering to the gods. So a Christmas tree anyway is just not a Christmas tree, it's a fucking Nordic tree, but whatever.
It's a Yule tree.
Yeah, but if you have one inside, like a lot of people do, because it's traditionally a Christmas tree now, you can hang it there. Some people live in crazy climates. My cabin, it's one of my favorite things to do when I go to my cabin in Yule, is actually do everything outside because it's in the forest. So it's really cool to just deck out a whole tree and go crazy with it still being alive and like in the snow and everything with it. I really enjoy that. But yeah, there's a whole lot, and that's usually what that comes down to, is timelines based off ritual, I guess.
So I still, just as a fun little tidbit, once we get New Uppsala into a brick and mortar, I plan on cutting down an entire tree to be like Yule log. Start it on one end and let it burn. The celebration keeps going until that log is gone.
And that's the thing is like I thought about that a lot on like how to make a Yule log last longer, right? Because a lot of people like don't put it out, so it's always burning, but it's just that slow. But you still want to have a fire going. So I've seen those, you know, like the videos with like those V-shaped things feeding fires, and they have logs stacked to it, and it feeds itself through the fire, kind of a thing. That would make sense if like you did one tree and cut it up, saying the tree is the Yule log and these are not. But I think it would be. I've always wondered how they do like one. It would have to be a, like you said, like a damn redwood, and then just burning that thing for like a week.
Well,
because
it's also a practice of bringing the last year's Yule log to help start the new Yule log. You know, kindling and everything to help start the new one, because then it would represent the cycle. Like, this was from last year. Look at where we all came from. Another way is I've seen people celebrate in January because I want to say it was a Christian king. He added a holiday, or he added a whole month. And they celebrate in January on the full moon. But on the topic of, you know, Christians bringing in the Christmas tree, I know of this stanza within the Bible that has, you know, one that you shouldn't bring a Christmas tree in because that's what the heathens. So I looked it up. Trust but verify everything that I'm saying. It's from the King James Bible. It's from Jeremiah 10:2 to 10:4.
I have one of those.
I do too, except for it's an audiobook.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, Jeremiah 10:2, 10:4. Thus said the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathens are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold, they fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. So roughly, you know, it's what our ancestors did, and they're not trying to they're trying to get away from that. It's way of them the Christianization of Yule, the winter solstice, into what we call modern day Christmas. So to all your Christian families, and be like, well, you're practicing a pagan holiday with your pagan practice right now.
And it's your own Bible.
Yeah,
bringing that spirit inside.
But as always, don't be disrespectful about it. If you come off disrespectful, then it's going to be seen as arrogance, and that's no way to educate others and bring legitimacy and make others feel that your path is legitimate. So
it's bad for our brand.
Yeah, that's another good way to put it. Thank you, Wolf.
Yeah, don't go kicking down grandma's door and tell her she's gonna go to Valhalla instead of her heaven because she has a tree inside. It's not recommended.
No,
it's funny.
What I would say would be, you're going to hell.
Now, the
that's what I would
part
say.
Of that is I actually heard a story one time of somebody saying something similar like that to their super chill grandma. They had a great relationship with grandma, and they became North Pagan, and she was still Catholic. And they said something to their grandmother, and their grandmother went like, shh, and like took him in another room, and she was like, so you follow the old gods? Like, got excited, and he was like, hold on, my entire existence is a fucking lie. Grandma's out here knowing the shit I'm saying. What the fuck?
Grandma's spitting truth bombs. What the fuck?
Just imagine, put yourself in those shoes. You've been raised in that environment for so long. You knew grandma was only Catholic, like devout Catholic, went to church every Sunday, did everything that way. Grandpa dies, and you're like, hey, grandma, I know your Christmas tree's a pagan ritual, and she's like, shh, follow the old gods. Like, hold on.
Maybe Grandma's a production of Rig or Odin when they were wandering.
Probably. Now
I don't know these words. Like, oh my god, what the fuck? How do you think I survived the wars?
Oh.
She escaped the Holocaust with a fucking hammer.
Right. She's just like, fuck. It's like, whoa!
She, during the Holocaust and everything, she just kept on saying until Valhalla.
No one fucking with it. They're not more scared. They're like, I'm not fucking with that chick. No. You hear that shit? We're Germanic. We're aware of what she's saying. I'm not going near her.
She's not afraid.
I wonder.
She's welcoming it.
Now, I know we're supposed to be talking about Yule. Get ready. We're going on a tangent.
Another one.
I took one sip of whiskey and I'm fucking roll. It's amazing. What do you guys think would happen? Okay. Take what we know now and get time travel back to Nazi Germany. As pagans, with our practice, our faith, and everything, we have the books, we have everything lined up. We have citations and everywhere. And they said some heinous shit, and you just go, you're wrong, here's why. And you just start listing out, you'd probably get killed. But just imagine having that, not moral high ground, but just the high ground of knowledge. Like, no, this is what this says, this is what this means, this is where this interpretation came from, this is where this came from, this is what they believe, this is what these people believe, and just rail them with it.
What you're describing is Odin's entire existence.
I know.
That's like all he fucking does. I would imagine that they would offer you a very nice long shower, but who knows?
Probably. But would they?
So
if you don't speak German, you'd never know until it's too late.
That is the shower.
We need to get one of our students to help translate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Translate. We have zero audio.
So all right, if we're on the side of Germany, again hypothetical.
Whoa.
I know. So, and we're
We're not hypothetically.
Yes, we're not. We're not the AFA. But hypothetically, if we're on Germany's side, and you know we're speaking Germany, we're on the Nazi side, and we're the religious consultant, I think the bastardization of the signs and the interpretation from what we know nowadays would be less, because it would be either less or the same, because they would just dismay us and be like, no, fuck that, I don't want to do that, because that's the role will be consultant. Now if we're on the other side, you know what, the
winning team,
the winning team, and you know the side we are all on right now on this podcast, the allies, I think if we would be the consultant to the world of what Nazi is, you know, demonizing these signs for hate, and start the trend of taking it back versus letting it fester for decades until the revitalization of paganism in the 70s or 80s.
So your proposal would be having, if you were on the other side, guiding, I mean, it's guiding a psychopath through a war zone that he's created, but
yeah.
So I get the allies side saying, okay, we're gonna attempt to purify what they're bastardizing, purifying symbols even during that rotation, during that time. But I'm not sure. So it would be, if you were consulting, it would depend obviously on who, what, when, where, how, why. But like, if we were just going to go straight to like the Führer type thing, it would be basically like what we do when we go to our prisons and talk to inmates, it's a very difficult thing because, to your point, like you just get killed for saying the wrong thing with it.
Yeah, that's another, avenue that you brought up is like, right, if we were to consult Hitler, like let's go straight to the top and not have to go through chain of command.
What's gonna start with that, apparently?
Yeah, we're gonna go straight to Hitler and be like, so your symbol, it's not the actual symbol. Also, Thor's hammer, that's not what that means. And be the religious expert for him and not be a blind follower. That'd be like, you're right, Hitler.
It wouldn't be like trying to dismay the path. It would be more like you're using the wrong material for this gain, or you're using the wrong symbols for the wrong words, kind of thing.
And
he's basically saying he's mistranslating his own symbols.
Yeah, and like hypothetically, we're on Hitler's side, we would give him the right ones. Hate that sentence, right. But it would be my way of self-preservation.
just slip in like a Star of David in one of them and just see if he freaks.
But no, like, yeah, that's...
Give him their sword or something as a symbol. Be like, you're trying to purge the land, right? That's exactly what Surt does during Ragnarok. That's your goal.
Well, not pure... I guess it would be puring the world.
That was his goal. That was Hitler's goal, would be to purify bloodline.
I am done thinking about that, because it's...
A lot of Hitler talk. Let's talk about Yule.
Yes. To be clear, that is not why I brought that up.
We are on the allies. 100% we're on the allies. From all the previous...
What are you going to say? You're on the other side? Like, you already lost. Like saying you're a Confederate. You're like, okay.
I feel like I need to go apologize to a Jew at this point. Okay, we need to stop. No, but Yule. There's a lot of symbolism in Yule that a lot of people aren't aware of. Santa Claus is 8 reindeer. 9 if you count Rudolph, but really 8. Odin's horse Sleipnir has 8 legs. Where do you think that came from? The Santa Claus being Odin was a very old thing, but that was the common thought. And it got turned into St. Nicholas, or jolly old St. Nick, and then Santa Claus came a little bit after that. Out of Germany, I believe, come to think of it.
I'm like 80% sure it came from Coca-Cola. Like the image that we know of.
Yeah.
So growing up, we had statues and shit that were really weird, but I always remember during Christmas, part of the decoration was statues of really slender, tall, wizard-looking motherfuckers. But it was in like a red robe with white fur linings. So it wasn't like holding a staff and being like, and it didn't have a sack of toys. It was just walking around. Like it was just these wooden statues like all over of these repetition, very slender, very tall, white bearded man with like a little bit of a cap, but not like the fucking cap we know, and then a rope. And that was, that's Santa, but it's Odin was the representation of it. I'm pretty sure when they start, to your point, Saint Nick, Santa Claus, all that stuff, for a long time, he was still seen as a skinny or a slender person. And then I think it wasn't until Coca-Cola came into the picture, wanted to rebrand it, like what they did with like the polar bear, and they made like a large one. Maybe it was like Macy's.
No. I think you're on point with Coca-Cola. We should probably just Google this to find out when did Santa become fat. But
when he ate every cookie in the world in one night.
That's also true.
Fucking that is like, he's the guy that's like diabetes. That's Santa.
So
he's a diabetes.
So here's Santa now still Odin or Thor?
Ooh.
I think Santa went through a midlife crisis and just plumped up like Thor.
I was gonna say, did Coca-Cola know something we didn't, and that's why they made him look like a goddamn muscle man? Like,
I mean,
I
if
mean,
he's
used
hauling
to have
around
Coke
that,
in the
yeah, if he's hauling around that bag of toys, he's got to be strongman strong.
yeah, that's interesting. But no, I still think it's Odin. I think the depiction of what Santa has turned into is, I don't want to say wrong, but it is. When we talk about cookies, though, I wanted to throw this in there. Go ahead.
I said it's just cartoonish. It's to appeal to the younger generation. So
Now, also, I just want to throw this in there for all the dads out there with little people that run around their house causing chaos and they give them presents on Christmas or Yule. I have convinced my children that Santa Claus doesn't want milk; he wants single malt whiskey.
and like a little barrel when you're like, that's what's up.
No, we put it. So our family, we obviously celebrate Yule, but we put it in a drinking horn, and I just pour whiskey into a cup and set it on there. And they've got cookies and stuff right next to it. And we even, so obviously Yule is the thing, so we keep the cookies there. But oftentimes we actually use meat. We'll put like little portions of our Yule Day roast beef or whatever it is out on the plate too, or Yule's Eve, and we'll take that and we'll put that on the plate for the wolves and the ravens. And then we take like carrots and stuff and put them off to the side, or like an apple for Sleipnir. And then occasionally we'll throw a cookie on there too. But it's like we've edited that tradition because I don't want to say I've convinced my children that cookies and milk is not what he wants. But that's exactly what I did, because we're discussing Odin and his beasts, not reindeer and some jolly old fat man.
What are you gonna do when they leave like a single red glass of wine out when they find out Odin just survived wine?
Outstanding. I hope they get that.
Well, the offerings of the meat and the carrots, I think, would still stay there, but instead of whiskey, I think it will be turned into wine. Was that what you're getting at?
Sounds like you have like a charcuterie board with dessert on it, basically, and then like some like under a tree, like your fucking nature just fell on this bitch. Like you describing all this stuff, I'm like, I really want a charcuterie board right now. Like,
no, but
like cheese and meats and crackers, like bitch, that okay.
No, I just think it's great that my children are convinced. Like my oldest, he actually went to school recently. So his teacher asked him, "Do you leave milk and cookies out for Santa Claus?" He goes, "No, I leave whiskey and meat." And she had to look at this little kid that's like 5 years old and go, "Okay."
They're like, "You live a better life than I do. What the fuck?"
Well, I want it now. I don't want to dive into it because it's not my story to tell. But like, here's my thought process: is, you know, as my partner is not heathen and not pagan, I've been struggling with having to, you know, my son's, his favorite thing is Merry Christmas, ho ho ho, and he does it for hours on end. But you know, he's still young to like fully understand like what daddy's saying when it comes like Happy Yule. And that's something that like I've been wanting to do. Like, can't do it right now as he's too young, but what you were saying is something that I'm gonna implement. Not the Santa only eats or drinks whiskey and meat, but giving the reason why we're setting out, you know, on daddy's side, what daddy believes in, of we're setting out meat for the wolves, we're setting, and the ravens, and then we're giving out carrots for Sleipnir. And, you know, doing it like that but me and my partner also have the agreement that we're not going to push religion on our kids, because we were both like that when we were growing up, and we're like, we're not gonna do that. But it's hard when your father's a gothy.
Yeah.
And his whole
I think
job is religion.
Yeah, I think the approach on that would be hard though. It'd be like you have to both approach it the same way. So it would almost be like they walked into a room and there was Christmas set up and there was Yule set up. And simply just letting them roam, I mean, obviously that's what they do. But then if they ask questions on it, then seeing your guys' both response to it, like if they go and ask about Christmas, your partner could be like, blah, 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 and like give that. And then if they ask about Yule, you'd have to respond in like the same, not cadence, but the same level of like depth as like your partner would, because you don't want to start like competing against each other on the knowledge of holidays. But I think the only way it would really, I mean, you can just, if you were just setting up your thing, the questions would come naturally, and if not, then they would just observe, and then eventually maybe naturally. So I don't know if it's something you really like. You can just do it and then see if they join instead of being like, hey, now we're gonna go do this, because you could do carrots with Santas if you wanted to feed the reindeer or something.
Yeah,
you can still get into it.
and like,
But I don't know.
my hammer that I wear, he knows it as Daddy's necklace. So like, I mean, you guys been to my house. I got, other than Jurassic Park, just everywhere. I got my books, and I have an altar set up and everything. So it's not that my path is hidden or anything like that. It's they're just not old enough to fully understand.
So what do you think would be a better approach for, let's say, a high school heathen, right? Believes in the path, parents think they're just rebelling, you know what the hell they're talking about. They celebrate Christmas, but they still want to do something, even if it's not in cadence to Christmas. Do you think they could do their own little kind of offering plate, kind of like a bloat in their room? Or do you think they should kind of seek out that truce, kind of what you're talking about there, saying, can I put this here as well? Not like a big effigy of fucking Odin, but like offerings or something like that. I mean, I could see either way, but what do you guys think?
So I'm just gonna go first. Reach out to us, and we'll help navigate that situation as religious leaders.
Your parents, kids, don't worry.
And we'll be the support for that conversation. But I think it would honestly have to be up to the individual if they feel comfortable, reaching out and like discussing with their parents. It also is on the premise of how do they have the what's the thing, the barnyard,
the manger.
Yeah, if they have
it's the isn't there a name for it? Like the set? Nativity set.
Yeah, the nativity set. Do they have one of those set up? How big into Christian or any other faith-based are there? If they aren't, then I think it would be easier to ask. But if it's not, and they're not aware of your path, I think hiding it away so it's not disturbed by their negative energies during the offering would be the best course of action. But as always, reach out to us and help.
I remember growing up, we had nativity sets every year, obviously, and they were like these porcelain all wood manger with this star. It was like Yadra level fucking little things. And I remember like we never were allowed to touch it when we were little, but even when we hit like 12 and up, we never like ruined it or took things away from it. But my siblings and I would replace things with other things, right? So there would just be like a dinosaur instead of a wise man, or like a turtle instead of baby Jesus. And so we would like mess around with stuff because it had like a whole foliage thing, so it was snow everywhere. But like we never got in trouble for it. And I think that my parents didn't care that we were doing that. The fact that the symbolization was still there. So I think, to your point, with any heathen, you have to gauge your surroundings and your audience, even if it's your family. So I don't know.
Now, to be entirely fair, we've seen the pictures online of the people that replace a picture of Jesus in somebody's home with like a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And nobody notices for years.
I like those. I've never seen them, but man, that kills me because it looks just like him.
It does. It's great. Honestly, there's a lot of things you could do. I would never encourage someone to hide their practice, but I understand the fear that rests there because I deal with it not so much with my immediate family, my wife and my kids. We all practice the same way. But with my extended family, I have had to do that in the past. For example, just over Thanksgiving, they said a prayer over the food. I politely excused myself out of the building, and my wife took the kids to play in the gymnasium in the church instead of where they were all doing that. And it wasn't so much that I just didn't want to take away from their practice, because that to me and the negative energy from me and my belief is slightly more aggressive than others. So I didn't want to take away from it. So instead of doing that, I excused myself from that space. Now, my answer to if someone wanted to make an offering like that and take into account their practice during that, do it outside. Nobody cares what's out behind the backyard tree in the middle of winter. Set your offering there. It's far more applicable in a lot of cases with them being outside, especially with Odin and the wild hunt and what it does during this time of year. That would not be unheard of. Now, don't hide it. If they ask, if they see you doing it, don't hide it. Just tell them I didn't want to take away from yours. That's never been my intent. So I did my own thing outside where my gods are. That's it. But that would be my advice, is take it somewhere else. Whether that's in your own room, if you have that relationship with family where your room is your safe space and your safe space. But if that's your place, then do it there. But I would encourage you not to take away from others, but always have that discussion if you can, if you're available and your family is receptive to it. Have the discussion of, can I add to it? I don't want to take away from yours, but can I add my own? So that we can still celebrate this holiday of togetherness and being around family and friends, which is what Yule is. Can I add to yours so that I feel justified? But yeah, we got another story fairly recently too. Thanksgiving, same thing. We were there for a couple days, and my family is very heavily Christian. I won't say which denomination, but they're very heavily Christian. And they said a prayer for something else. I don't even remember what it was. And they were all sitting around, and one of my cousins that knows I'm very Norse pagan. I'm a religious leader for the community, so in all these things, he kind of looked at me, side-eyed me during their prayer, and after it, I said, "Hail the gods," because I didn't disagree with what they were saying. They were asking their god to keep everyone safe, keep everyone fed and healthy. They were doing those things, but I didn't give that credit to their god. So he heard me say this, and he asked the question, "What does that mean to you?" And my response was, "It's very similar to how you say amen." And he just kind of looked at me for a second and was like, "Okay, but which gods?" And that's where that conversation started. So it was also a growing experience for those around me too. Instead of just me practicing on my own and excusing myself from everything, I got to teach a little bit of what I believe. And he was very receptive to it, luckily, for the most part. But yeah, that's another option that you always have, is trying a different way.
Yeah, and I have a story of that same similar interaction. When I'm at my partner's grandparents' house, we go out and we they hold hands and they pray all together, and they worship Jesus Christ, the God, Big G, and everything like that. And they say amen. I say hail the gods and skull. I'm in the same room, and I don't hold hands or anything like that. And people reached out to grab my hand, and I say no thank you. And I just I keep my eyes open. I do my own practice, and I say my quote quote prayer, and be like, hail the god and skull, to
Right.
practice what I, and like, just like your immediate family, like, and you yourself, I'm very open in my religious beliefs. I got tattoos everywhere. I got my hammer. And then if anyone comes up and asks, like, everyone's like, oh, he believes in the Viking stuff. I constantly have to make that correction. I was like, well, just like you keep on saying Viking stuff, I'm gonna say everything you do is priest stuff.
Right.
And they're like, no, being a priest is a position. I was like, being a Viking is a position. It's a job.
Yeah. That correction has been fun for me. One of my uncles, love him to death, kind of. But he is very aggressively Christian. So we've gotten into it a couple times, and he said something similar about Viking this, Viking that. And I was like, do you want me to raid? I'll raid. You're not going to like what happens, but I'll do it. And he was like, well, that's not what I mean. And I was like, how many times have I told you that Viking is an occupation? That's a thing. That's a verb, to go Viking. And he was like, well, a bunch of times. And I was like, okay, then make your fucking correction, dude, because I'll go raiding. You just won't like where I raid. So, yeah.
So when I left, I heard you kind of mention it. I don't know if you covered it, but during these times, and really during any time, but like during these times, there's a lot more praying going on in many, 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 many households. How do you guys practice, or what do you guys do during prayers? Like, if not your prayers, like Christian prayers or whatever, what do you guys do during other people's prayers?
We actually both just touched on that while you had stepped away.
I'm single parenting, so I had to go put on a dinosaur show for the little one.
But no.
You mean the dog?
Yeah.
But essentially,
she likes dinosaurs. She's like fascinated with dinosaurs, so she was getting kind of whiny and like on her behind legs. So I had to go put on some dinosaur show for her because
So Jurassic Park?
The NFR. No, so I was looking for Jurassic Park. They had all the stupid kid ones, and I was trying to pick it fast. So I put on Land of the Lost with Will Ferrell. So what could go wrong?
So like essentially it's we either, so mine is I don't hold hands, I stay in the safe space or the same space, and then I say hail the god and skull, because it's still my practice, I'm not taking away from theirs. But if I do, like if it's in a church or anything, then I would do similar to what Sigrid Ufar did on his story and excuse myself, because that's a holy place, and I don't want that would be like me or them interrupting a bloat. I'd be like, I don't want them to interrupt a bloat, so I'm not going to interrupt their prayer in a church. So I would excuse myself and be like, I'll just come back when you're done. I'm not trying to diminish or take away from your energies, and just do navigation like that. And then it would be hard to navigate if they say, no, please stay.
Yeah.
Because then that would be a tough one to navigate internally.
I have some experience with that as well, with my parents in particular. So I love my parents to death. I really, really do. They're great. They're amazing people. They've taught me everything I know. They've helped me through life. They've done everything for me. They love my kids. They dote on them like crazy. They're spoiled little brats now because of grandma and grandpa. Okay, cool. They are still very Christian. And at dinner, they pray. There was one time where I drew a line that they said no more. my father decided he was going to say a prayer and tried to force my children to fold their hands and pray with him. That was the straw that broke the camel's back for me in that instance. I was happy to stay there. They're my parents. I love them to death. But my children won't. If they don't want to, they won't. If they chose to, they can. I'm not going to tell them no. But when it was the, I won't start praying and we can't eat until the prayer's done, until you fold your hands, that was the break for me. And I went off a little bit. Held my ground. Tread carefully with that because it can cause massive rifts in relationships. It really, really can. Luckily, my parents are super understanding. They know how I came to this path and all the things that I've been through and where I stand now. And my dad actually apologized to me for that a little bit later, saying, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that's how deep that went. Kind of took me by surprise again. I was like, what do you mean you didn't realize that's how far this went? And we had our conversation about that. But we worked it out to a point where he understands. He can say it. I have no problem with him saying, okay, we're going to pray. Hold your hands. But if my kids don't and they don't want to, they won't. And I won't make them. And we talked it through. So that's something else that inevitably it will happen. I'm going to say that. Inevitably, you will have these types of altercations, conversations, whatever it is, where things get a little heated. It's going to happen at some point. Whether it's with family or a close friend or a family friend, it will happen. I know White Wolf has a story on this, and it's fucking hilarious.
No, I was going to say, I mean, all my Christian household growing up my whole life, everyone was the same belief, and there were still fights every Christmas. Like, that's just Christmas. Like,
yeah, but
so you might as well go full tilt your own direction because it's going to happen either way. So,
right. But no, those kind of things, they're going to happen. Those conversations about religion and your beliefs and your practices, they will happen, and sometimes you will feel attacked by it. Unfortunately, that is the nature of the beast in today's world with what we deal with. The nature of the beast. There's your Christian reference.
it could be Jormungandr.
Yeah, that's what that saying means.
Nature of the snake. Or worm. Depending on translation.
Yeah, nature of the serpent is the same as nature of the beast in a lot of contexts for them, so I don't think that's going to change much. But no,
we're so deeply assimilated in their beliefs.
Weird. Oh no. Speaking of Yule, no, but those things will happen. Judge those accordingly to the situation that you're in and those you're.
Yeah, I like it. And growing up, even when I did practice whatever else, my family's huge and they're very, very LDS. Like, my grandma served like 10 missions. Everyone in the family, including the females, have all gone on missions, like things like that. They're very, very devout. But I just wouldn't do anything. Like, when they pray, I just sit there. And I've done a few different ways. So, like, when I was younger, I would close my eyes and just not do anything. I wouldn't say amen or any of that crap. I would just sit there awkwardly. And then nowadays, half of them don't close their eyes anyway, so we're all just sitting there anyway while someone's just fucking talking. I did it once and I started doing it a little bit more because it was not too bad, is give it like doing like small, quick meditations on it, or whatever, it's on a single god or a rune or whatever else during their prayer time. Because literally, everyone's quiet, bowing their heads, keeping their eyes closed. It's basically guided meditation at that point. And so if you could just white noise out the talker, you can have that same look. So if someone is looking around or whatever else, you just look like you're a part of the family doing whatever else is doing, but you can really focusing on the god that you want to do an offering for, or that you're celebrating or thanking, or focusing on a room to maybe get through the family ordeal, or the food or whatever else. So that worked out really well for me a few times. So and to your guys' point, and this is all circumstantial, it's like depending on the family, if like they will whoop your ass if you're not eyes closed, head down type of thing, like my family was, you learn to adapt and make the best of your mind when they're trying to penetrate it with their words. So
yeah,
I like how you went and did that. It was not necessarily like being open, but you're still honoring your religious path. It's like, at that point, it's just self-preservation and trying to keep the peace. And there's nothing, I don't think that anything's wrong with that. I really don't.
Okay. Here we go. Board of the Wolf time. I hate that that's what it's resorted to. That we have to subvert and hide what we do in a lot of situations, and a lot of people still have to do that. I hate that that's the reality. A lot of people, especially here in the U.S. near the Bible Belt area, there's a lot of closet pagans, and we had that whole conversation about that in a previous podcast about opening up and telling those around you and coming out of the pagan closet. But I hate that that's the reality. I hate that that's what we have.
As soon as I found a way to make it productive, it literally was like some of the best time because my whole family was there and no one was fucking talking to me. So like there was only one speaker and hopefully they're on the other end of the table. And so it didn't ever feel to me, well, it did at first because, you know, you don't know what to do, like a threat to your existence or self-preservation. It was just like, hey, I'm sitting here, and you know, I'd sit there, eyes open, like looking around, planning out what I'm going to eat first or whatever else. But really, it became so much better for the community and like myself when I took that time to go inside my own mind. So yes, it's sad that it is that, but it's not a bad thing. Like, it's not like a sad thing that we get to find time with our family where we get to find our own internal way to celebrate with our family and our beliefs. It's kind of our own Christmas present from them and our Yule gift to them. Is that kind of me at the middle of the island type of thing?
Right.
We just don't know.
Right, and I hate that that's the reality. I really do. I hate that the reality is for some people that they're hiding it. And they have to actively hide it from loved ones. That sucks. And I don't wish that on anyone.
No, and that's the problem. Is like if it's something that's being casted in the family, then it's an issue, and that's why sometimes practices last multiple days, and you can practice Yule through before and after Christmas. So when they're packing up their shit, you can still be doing your own thing in any way. So that's why, I mean, Christmas is one day. Yule can be the whole damn month if that's the way you choose to practice. So
right, which is always beneficial. Speaking of that, we have our Yule celebration coming up next week, which is crazy to think about because there's going to be 30 freaking people in my house again. It's like every month at this point. I love it. I love it to death. It's great. But holy shit. No, but we have that happening. So I was curious as to what your guys' the actual Yule day or Yule 3-day, whatever it is, your Yule practices are. What do you guys do in particular for Yule?
So mine changes almost every year because I don't know the last time I lived in the same location for 2 years in a damn row. So I'm very circumstantial to where I am. I'm in like the same states or regions or whatever else, but I'm constantly in new homes or whatever else. Homes is a bold word. I move apartments a lot. So you both have homes. I just bounce around. But sometimes, like, some places I live are worse than others. Some are downtown, some are out in country-esque areas. It's completely circumstantial to what the needs of my life are, and it's not built around one day. It's the one celebration. The one celebration I have to build around my living situation. So it changes all the time. I couldn't even tell you really what I did. Oh, I do. I think I remember last year. I had a wood-burning fireplace in my apartment, and I did a Yule log. It was my significant other, and we literally just like, pretty sure we were super fucking high, drank, and just watched like every version of the Grinch we like. We went ahead and picked because like some Christmas movies are good. Like they don't have to be like Christmas. We're not watching like Miracle on 34th, but like we chose like we get to pick one like Grinch that we agree on or two, and then we'll watch like Bob's Burger episode. So we just celebrate kind of each episode, and because we like the shows of those. But that was when we were like more downtown. We couldn't get out and do things like that. This year we've already got it planned out. Behind us now, it's a much better place. It's a river, and it's surrounded by trees. Like it's an entire fucking forest along the river. The river is a lazy river, so it doesn't have a current in either direction. You can sit on a tube and you'll pass each other just randomly in different directions. So it's really cool, and it goes through the whole city. And so because of the trees and there's walkways and stuff, we're gonna go through and celebrate and decorate a live tree. Like we're gonna go out there and we're gonna do a whole thing. Like we'll decorate it. We're not gonna make a whole like scene about it, but we're gonna decorate it fairly well. And it's gonna be a public tree, so anybody can walk by it and they're gonna be like, "What the fuck is that?" And so a lot of people might see it as a Christmas tree, but we're doing it for Yule. So we'll be doing that, and if it gets taken down, we'll do it multiple times, whatever else. So that's how we plan on doing this year, at least as far as symbology outdoors. But we don't have, outside of like going places, we don't have any plans quite yet. She's still fairly new. She's fairly new to a lot of practicing parts of it. She's knowledgeable of it, but never done it. And so I assume this year is going to be a pretty good mixed batch of her beliefs and practices and mine, and like mine will be built around growing hers, but with my influence, obviously, because it's me. So, but other than that, maybe a gift. We just bought a bunch of new shit, so we're kind of feeling we're gifted out right now and being like, you know what, this was Yule. We both got new phones. We got a new Xbox Series S and an Xbox Series X and a new big ass fucking TV. She's in Las Vegas right now at the NFR buying. Like we're good. We're good for the year. But I don't think we need to embellish anymore.
So we have our holiday tree up already. I planned on doing my Yule lasts for 3 days and ends on the 24th, because what we've been doing is with my family, we do our gift exchange on a Christmas Eve, and then we go to her family's house, the ones that, you know, pray over the meal and everything, on Christmas morning, and we have breakfast there and everything. But this is my first time owning a house and being with my family during Yule for the past, it's 3 years. So it's a different, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't have anything planned necessarily, but you know, I have some incense, you know, get the mood going. Do a Mother's Night, do a gift exchange, give out an offering, you know, pretty standard, nothing too complex. You know, as my family, we're not trying to push religion, so Daddy's just gonna do his own thing, and if little one wants to be with me, then he's gonna be with me. Maybe watch some Vikings TV show. And
that's what I was just thinking. I was trying to think of shows that are Nordic depictions, or at least Nordic themed, or whatever else, that you could like watch or whatever else doing it. Because there's a lot of Christmas themed everything, but not like Yule themed anything.
Y'all don't know what my favorite one is? My favorite Christmas or Yule style movie is The Guardians. It's about Jack Frost.
Yeah, with like Jack Frost, the Easter Bunny, and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. So
I forgot about that.
Their depiction of Santa Claus is fucking spot on, and I love it.
He's like,
because he's still this happy-go-lucky dude that's just like doing his own fucking thing, but he's got the tattoos on his forearms of naughty and nice, and he's tatted, and it's got like Nordic knotwork and shit around it. And he's got the big beard, and he's wearing like a surcoat. He doesn't wear like the traditional red robe thing. He's not wearing the hat, but he's like this big bearded dude that's just jacked as shit. And he has an accent in the movie too, which is, I love it. And it's a great story about being happy and having friends and believing in something. That is by far my favorite Yule movie that my kids will sit there and watch repeatedly. We also watched The Grinch, which is, I just think it's funny.
Yeah, with Jim Carrey?
Either one. The newer animated one or the Jim Carrey one.
I know what we do for like and this is how I grew up, is we watched Elf. while setting up the tree. So we did that. I'm gonna have to add Rise of the Guardians. That's the title of the movie. I'm gonna have to add that to my list. Because I like how it's just not about like it shows like Tooth Fairy as like not a Tooth Fairy. She's a
Well, I was gonna
hummingbird.
share my screen real quick too, because I pulled up a full image of like the Santa, and it's pretty cool. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I'm gonna push a button.
I'll see if I
Oh,
can.
if I do this, will it replace it? I'm not doing it. But it's a
Okay.
good picture though. I see what you're saying though. It's very Nordic. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he works with in that movie. He's got like Yetis instead of just elves that run around for him and make shit.
The heavy lifter.
It's great.
There's another movie that came out. Let me look it up real quick, but it came out last year, and it was. One second, I can't even explain it.
We watched The Grinch, but my favorite Grinch is actually the original. Like I love it because I watched that ton. I've heard I love the new one. I absolutely love the new one. I've heard a lot of people don't like that one though. Like it's too millennialized or whatever the hell else. But I like the Jim Carrey version. I like Jim Carrey. I like the oldest one. And I like the newest one. But there's a lot of them that are in between. There's actually a couple Grinches, but those are the ones that I watch.
Yeah, I don't like one.
So the movie is called Violent Nights.
Ooh, that sounds familiar.
It came out
Violent Night?
Yeah, Violent.
Not a kid show.
No, it's rated R, I'm pretty sure. But it's like a disgruntled Santa that, is drinking whiskey and everything. He's just done with the job and no one believes him and he's just like pissed off. But it's definitely not a children movie. But it gives a different gives the warrior aspect, like kind of like the Wild Hunt, because he ends up hunting the people. Like if you've seen the movie, Why Wolf, you should watch it.
I was about to say we're absolutely gonna watch this.
I want to say it's on Peacock.
Okay. No, there's a lot of movies. Anyways, to answer my own question earlier, after we got on a movie, our practices are still very reminiscent of how we were raised. Except for the date changed. That's the biggest piece that changes for us. We actually do it on the solstice. If it's on like a Wednesday, like it is this year, me and my wife call out of work. We don't go in that day. But that morning, we do the gift exchange and everything. And the night before, we do the Yule Eve, everything with the leaving stuff out for Odin and going through all that. And my wife put all the presents under the tree and everything like that. And all the gift exchange stuff happens that morning. But I also tell stories. I'll pick and choose stories out of the Poetic Edda or out of one of the books that I have, or the prose or the Volsung Saga or something, to tell stories of our gods. I try to stick to the ones that are heavily Odin based on the time frame that we're in. But I'll also tell the kids about Uller and Scotty and what happens during the winter time. I veer away from the Wild Hunt just based on their ages so far, because that can be a little much for little people. But then that night, we actually have normally a gathering of fellow pagans in the local community, and it's open to a lot of people. There's actually somebody that me and Wywolf both knew that fell away from an old kindred and ended up reaching out to me and my wife saying, "Hey, are you guys doing anything for Yule, and can I come?" So that was interesting. But yeah, we just gather a bunch of different pagans together, and that night we feast. We go from about 4 p.m. to whenever the hell we're done. And we just have a freaking party. It's the celebration of friendship and the gifts exchange. I think we're doing a white elephant thing this year or something. Charge. But we just try and celebrate being together, being safe, being warm, and having that friendship and that time of together, even through the rough times of winter and everything else. And we focus on that. So that's a lot of our stuff is that side of things.
Nice. I was thinking this too earlier. It wasn't even today, but so traditionally, if you do these a lot or ever or whatever else, leftovers for dinner and stuff like that are really good scraps to give to land whites, house whites, whatever else for appeasement. That's where milk and cookies kind of naturally came from. It wasn't for fucking Odin. He didn't give a shit. It was for the land whites and everything like that to keep the house cool or warm and nurture whoever else. So would you be, I don't even know how to phrase that because it was kind of the answer, but would you be putting the food and offerings out for Odin, or would you be doing the food and offerings out for the land whites, the house whites, to protect during the wild hunt? Because one's kind of inviting that in, and one's kind of keeping it locked down. But I mean, we don't believe that Odin comes into our house and gives us fucking presents. So that's kind of the concept there. If we're like leaving things out, and if we're just using that concept to kind of reteach our children, that totally makes sense until that tradition goes away or whatever else, because it's a more fun or a more realistic way to celebrate that and integrate it into ours, or to be something like, hey, we're not letting Odin in, but the goal here is to kind of keep his murderous ass out.
Well, it could be seen as, you know, if he does come in, all right, if Odin does come in, we're giving him a gift and being like, all right, hi, we're here. Don't murder us, please. But, you know, for what you said when, like, the land whites, the house whites, honestly, I would give offerings to both. One for, you know, the little ones, but then also, if by chance Odin comes, you know, be like, I didn't know if he was coming, but I knew he was about. So it was if you're coming, here's a gift. You're welcome to be here, and being like a nice neighbor. But for the housewives, it would be a different type of meaning behind the offering. It would be more like this is the time where life tends to die. Keep with us. You're still here. You're still part of our family. You're not forgotten. You know, be with us. We'll get through this together. And, you know, you've done it thousands of years before me. But that doesn't mean that I can't ride this year's journey with you.
Right. And in that sense, it would be like the land whites would be like the fam or your kids, your family that you're celebrating with, and then visiting friends or relatives would be like if Odin did. The more I think about it, it's like it's a weird concept because really in my life I avoid the wild hunt at all costs if I can and actively pursue the opposite direction. So it's weird for me to think about because we don't really like. You know, Yule and all that stuff isn't about Odin coming in, dropping off presents through a fucking chimney, and then flying away on Sleipnir. So the concept's interesting, but really, if we were going it by kind of what we should be doing, or what I feel like I should be doing, it would be preventing anything from getting inside. So, like, if it was like a chimney, I should be fucking burning the Yule log to burn someone's ass that's going to trim down that chimney. It's a preventative, not an inviting.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking more and more on how I'd want to prevent Odin from coming in, which is a weird concept.
But on the flip side, you got the Havamal, which is be welcoming to wandering strangers.
Yeah, but the wandering strangers are the fucking wild hunt. They're not wandering, they're hunting.
Just saying.
So, okay. Alpha Bloods is the celebration, and I do it at the beginning of winter, in that time frame, in order to ensure and invite the land and house whites and make sure they are welcome. And that is my blow to them. Now, do I honor them throughout this time? Absolutely. We leave offerings out all over the place all the time. But in regards to keeping Odin, which is a crazy concept to me, how the fuck do you plan on doing that?
Well, that's kind of why it's a good thing I'm a gothy and not just some high school pagan in his room.
Right.
So say your ways.
You think I'm only prepared to go against? You think I'm only prepared to go against war with fucking Loki? If you can take on Loki, you can have a pretty good square chance against Odin. Like if you're prepared for that shit, like if you're gonna fight Mike Tyson, the local guy at the gym's just fine. Like
I just
I don't know.
To me, that's a crazy concept because
It is. That's what I'm thinking about it. It's like it's blowing my mind because they would have to be like if I did what I would do if I did me. Not saying people should do this, but it would be like I would do my bind rune. I would be doing cleansings, like literally everything in its power. Like it would almost be the point where like no one in the house. We're not. This is not that kind of thing. We're not inviting it. I'm not having the scent that he loves in this fucking thing. It's like going into a lion's den and rubbing yourself with steak beforehand. Not doing that. So I don't know. It would have to be like all hands on deck too. That's like a full damn day's work.
okay, you're gonna scoff at this, and I think it's great. I don't fear the wild hunt. If it happens, it happens. If it comes,
Really?
it comes.
I had no idea how you would react to that.
It's just one of those things where I don't feel like I should fear it in certain aspects. Absolutely, I'm not going to go traipse around in the fucking woods alone in the middle of the night. No, I'm not suicidal. But when it comes to my home, I've had these protections in place. This is the gathering place for my kin, my people, my folk, my everything. Why would I not extend the offering to Odin during this time? And this is just my personal perspective because I get the wild hunt. I understand where you're going with it. I understand the goal there. But if he's going to claim somebody, if the wild hunt is going to swoop down and claim somebody, or a group of people for them, whatever it may be, who am I to stop? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I talk about the wild hunt like that. I don't think the wild hunt should be something you're scared of. I think it should be something that brings to light an unnecessary risk at a time that is the most dangerous. So
Right.
kind of your point, like I don't think you should be sitting here like worried about the wild hunt kicking down your door and killing you. But to your point, like this might not be the time for a fucking morning hike. It's not about the hunt being scared of the hunt. It's being hyper aware of your surroundings to avoid unnecessary risk to yourself or loved ones. I think that's more of the wild hunt to me.
I'm gonna try and find the stanza in the Havamal, but there's one. Holy shit! I opened right to it.
Hashtag Gothy life.
Mm-hmm. But I've seen and read a lot that if you were claimed during the wild hunt, you don't go anywhere but the wild hunt. Like they claim you as that. You don't become an Hadiar, you don't go to hell. It's literally you're like, and you're on the team. And realistically, there's only like two places I want to end up, and it's Heimdall's Hall or the Wild Hunt, really, because fuck it.
So then here's the
Might as
question:
well.
why do you prevent it, or why do you put up your protections?
Well, again, unnecessary risks of ending my life sooner. Not that I'm overly attached, but I still have some work to do, which is very just gothy shit. But that being said, like, you know, Odin's Odin, so if he wants it, he's going to take it. And if he hasn't taken this yet, maybe we always talk about him being the real asshole and claiming lives before they should be taken to have the strongest warriors. Maybe it's just I'm not strong enough pagan yet during the wild hunt, and or I don't know, it would be one of those things that's displacing or displacement of myself for my family and friends. I don't there's no reason to embrace it when it's avoidable and brings negativity in almost every aspect.
For me,
So-
It's like, yeah, I could, like when you're left alone in a store, like, yeah, I could steal from this store and make money if I resell it, but like,
Yeah.
why?
Well, it's like what you said. It's taking unnecessary risk and avoiding the unnecessary risk. That's how I see the wild hunt. I'm not gonna go doing a midnight hike in the middle of my woods. No, why would I do that? I'm not an idiot. Like as you said, I still have work to do. My life isn't over today, or it's not going to be over. You know, I'm going to be a Gothi in the afterlife, so I'm still going to be working there, but in the end I still want to make Midgard a better place for heathens. And like I'm the firm, and this is my worldview when it comes to the Web of Weird. My birth time is predetermined and my death is predetermined. I don't have it control any from that, but I control everything in between. I use the analogy of I'm in San Francisco and I want to go to New York. I can go the fastest way, I can go the slowest way. I could control where I want to go, but I will end in New York City. So that's my worldview when it comes to like life and the, you know, death and everything like that. It's like if it comes, then I know it's come, and the Norns have seen it to that, and you know, the Norns
Well,
even.
and that's what I'm wondering. Does the wild hunt circumvent Norn's plans?
I don't think so. I think the Norns, if anything, they order, or they like, hey, look at this guy. He's looking a little weird and doing some weird shit. And the wild hunt's like, he looks like one easy prey or hard prey, challenging, whatever. Or a warm up game, you know, stuff like that. I think the Norns do subtle cues, and they weave the fate of everything living. So yeah.
So
I feel like
there's a couple of stanzas in the Hollow Mall, Liam Hollander's version. Beep, beep, whatever. Fuck it. Liam Hollander version of it. Yeah, that one. Stanzas 36, 37, and 47. What's home is best, though hut it be, there a man is master and lord. Though but two goats thine and a thatched roof, 'tis far better than beg. One's home is best, though hut it be, there a man is master and lord. His heart doth bleed, who has to beg the meat for his every meal. Now, stanza 47 says, young was I once, and went alone, and wandering lost my way. When a friend I found, I felt me rich, man is cheered by man. So, in this regard, I think White Wolf knows where I'm going with. But with keeping Odin out, I see it as an affront to him. Regardless of the hunt being filled by many lost souls and all of that, if he came to my door, even during the wild hunt, even if hypothetically he's standing in my front door, wide-brimmed hat, Gungnir at his hand, everything like that, his wolves prowling my front yard, I would still let him in, knowing that either my time has come, and I'm at a point right now, I am not so bold or so arrogant to believe that the wards that I've placed on my home would keep Odin out, or that there's any land wight in existence that could protect my home from Odin himself. I genuinely don't. I can't believe it. But
And
to treat him,
in the situation, I would absolutely bake cookies for it. Because at that point, you're fucked or you're fucked, and it's up to him. But it's having that big neon open sign that I avoid turning off.
Here's a thought, and we're getting close to time. We got about like 10 minutes left.
Fucking how to practice this for like 10 minutes.
But so as Odin Villive, you know, they created Midgard out of the body of Ymir. That's where land whites they pay homage to Odin by always letting him in, as Odin Vilive gave them places to rule.
Wait, you might have to say that to me again.
Yeah.
When he made the Ymir.
So Odin Vilive made Midgard out of Ymir. We all know this. And that's where they rule, they rule their land, their property within Midgard. Would the land whites, house whites, would they pay homage to Odin because, the creation and everything?
I see. So I think land whites, house whites, that stuff didn't exist when they made Midgard. Now, that being said, it could have been like some spore samples from little blood Jotuns and shit that popped up like zits during that creation time. But to me, land whites, I think we discussed this once. I don't even know if it was on this or during the school chats, where land whites were kind of talked through them being the servants and or minions of Vanir because of their nature.
It was,
and there was a few times they were mentioned.
Yeah, it was the story of Gerd.
It's when Frey gives away his word.
Yeah,
because his messenger is referenced to as a white. And so because of that, it shows that the whites are serving the Vanir. So the Vanir would then be the ones that would be over the land there. So I don't think homage or anything like that would be paid into Odin, Vili, and Ve as much as it would be the Vanir may avoid their areas because it is an Aesir land on a Vanir land type territorial thing. I could see it being like a straight up desert over like an oasis of their lands because there wouldn't be that kind of nature unless it was invited in by them and controlled.
Right. But that's just my stance on this is if he knocked on my fucking front door during the wild hunt outside of that, I don't care if there's a fucking herd of horsemen in the street in front of my house. If I see a wide-brimmed hat and a dude carrying Gungnir with 2 wolves prowling my front yard and ravens crowing from my roof, I'm letting him the fuck in. And I'm treating him as the greatest guest I've ever seen. No expense will be spared. I don't give a shit.
At that point, I might step outside, like, this ain't good enough. Let's talk out here.
Start swiping that credit card.
Place is a fucking mess. You don't want to go in there. But no.
Got some Christmas shit in there.
But that would just be my stance on that is if he wants in, he's getting in. So why wouldn't I treat him as a valued guest and take that stance instead when stanza 47 of the Havamal states, man bringeth joy to man. Like, that is the thing, is that give and take. And maybe that's when that gift exchange happens. And I'll give him whatever the well, I don't even know what I would give a god directly.
Head.
but like, give her a gift, right? And be like, thank you for not choosing me as your prey today. Give the same gift in receipt, or
and you hope he doesn't go, yeah, cool, see you tomorrow. Wait, what? So yeah, we'll rain check this. Like, what?
What does that mean?
Get your affairs in order.
No, that's a crazy thought to have, which is always fun, is what would you do if one of the gods just knocked on your door one day?
Depends on the god. If it was Rig, I'd hide my girl. So
would you?
I don't know.
Would you then be honored as it's your favorite story, your favorite god? It's the one you pay homage to, and be like, thank you for choosing.
Yeah, I don't want to offer him as homage to him. Fuck, I'll take him to a bar. Shit. Like here's your prey. Go over there.
What if he?
Here is your son thrall, you fuck. Like, oh no, that's not what I wanted.
If Heimdall came to me, or Rick came up and said, "Hey, I want to bang your girl," I'd be like, "We got to negotiate this contract because I want to be in your hall when I die, so we're gonna work this out." Like,
But no, like, what would you do? Genuinely,
Give her a gift.
say Odin or Thor or one of the more benevolent, one of the more benevolent of the Aesir knocks on your fucking door. What do you do? How do you react?
I mean, if we're acting literally, I would just depend on what the god or goddess is, which one it is, or who it is. If it's
Right.
Loki, I'm gonna for him. So whatever.
As he just touches your forehead and you fucking disintegrate.
You guys are
Yeah,
besties.
I know. We would just have. It would just depend on the god or goddess. I mean, if you were knowledgeable enough to one recognize them, because it might just be a UPS driver dropping off a package, but it's a god or goddess wanting to check in on your ass. So being able to recognize them in general is a whole other thing. But then if you're knowledgeable to know who they are and how to treat them, how to greet them, with Odin, offer wine, right? Obvious. With Frigg, give her some chocolate, or Freya, give her some chocolate. Fuck, she'll be fine. That's what I do with mine. And it just depends on each one. You know, Thor, you could have a drinking game or whatever else. Like, there's tons of stuff you could do. I would definitely invite Tyr to play Call of Duty with me because I'd kick his ass. That one hand, you know, he can shoot, but he can't aim.
As the spectral hand shoots out of his wrist, like, oh yeah, this is a gift from Freya. Fuck you.
I see what you did there. Yeah. But I think it just depends. I mean, on it and which one. And if you're not aware, if you think of a god or goddess, and you're like, I don't know what I do. Maybe that means you should look more into that god or goddess. Yeah, that's you. That's you outing your own. Like, you don't know what you don't know. But if you're like, oh, what would I do if that happened? I'm not sure. Then you're like, oh, sweet. Now I've got a little thread to pull of knowledge I can learn from.
As White Wolf commonly says, read a fucking book.
Oh man. Now I'm just thinking about what happens if Uller knocks on my door. Am I fucking poaching? Like, is that what I'm doing?
Like, I'll go get the bow.
We're going. Okay.
Or you're going snowboarding or something. Like, that'd be cool.
This is called a
I guess
ride.
he would be snowshoeing. Scotty would be skiing.
Yeah. Straight to Nordic Valley, dude. Scotty knocks on my fucking front door. Straight to Nordic Valley Ski Resort. Like, let's go. I can't have ski. I don't know how to do shit.
My cabin is so prepared for so many different gods and goddesses. There's snowshoes in the attic. There's everything we ever fucking need and more. There's skis, everything. If it's during the wintertime, we got you. Like,
No, it's just a crazy thought. What would you do? There's your parting question from the Gothar of New Uppsala. What would you do if one of the gods knocked on
your favorite one and your least favorite.
If Fenrir knocks on my door,
Shit.
Fenrir's not knocking on shit.
that's what I'm saying. If he knocks on my door politely, I'm scared shitless and I don't know what I would do. I genuinely would just sit there and go, well, you want to step outside before you eat me, or do you want me to stay here?
If Fenrir's at your door, it's way too late.
I was like-
Everything's already happened.
My thing is, if Fenrir were to come up here, I was like, what happened to Fimbulwinter?
You'd be like, hey, any vacation you want to take, do it now. Like, oh, fuck. You ever been to the tropical islands? No. You won't be able to. You might want to.
That might be one of the new side assignments. I think our
Ooh.
gift to the students would be a side assignment.
That's one hell of a gift. Hey, by the way, we're not lessening your workload. Here's a fucking side assignment.
Read a fucking book.
As is the education system.
Well, anyways, I hope you all enjoyed our call tonight, or our podcast tonight. Called
Recording
Good gods.
podcast. But yeah.
Recorded podcast / whatever the fuck this is.
Great.
I know, right? I hope you guys had fun. Enjoy Yule. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever the fuck you celebrate. Whoever's listening to this. Happy Kwanzaa.
One of my employees said Ramadan.
Ramadan.
Yep.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that you celebrate, if you're listening to these podcasts, I hope you have a great holiday season, that you spend it surrounded by loved ones and friends, and you genuinely enjoy the presence of the gods, because that's what this holiday is actually.
And ancestors.
And the answer.
And regardless of when you listen to this, if something cool happens or you do something cool, you should totally message us and tell us about it.
Hell yeah.
We'll see you guys later.
Thank you, and happy holidays.
Bye.